Charlie, Vivi. Vivi has joined us here in 2007, right? If I remember correctly.
Five.
No. For the PhD.
For PhD.
For the PhD in 2007, yes. And she has done a lot of work over the years. She's my second PhD student here at the Technical University of Crete. And during her research, we had the pleasure to collaborate with a number of colleagues, including Professor Tom Luo, who was kind enough to visit us here to participate in the examination committee, and my colleague Leanos Stasioulas, who unfortunately couldn't make it today. He's the 7th member of this examination committee. So Vivi has done quite a bit of work, in fact. She started her graduate studies working on joint beamforming and admission control for downlink cellular networks. That was her first journal paper, part of her master's thesis. And then she moved on. She did some work on multicast beamforming and admission control with applications in LTE systems. And then moved on to the core, the main subject of her PhD thesis, which is on joint resource allocation and routing in wireless networks using convex approximation techniques. This is the topic that she will be talking to us about today. So what we will do is we will have about a 1-hour presentation by Vivi. We will have short clarification questions if needed. Right? So if you need to clarify something while she's presenting, please say so. And we'll keep longer questions for the end of the presentation. Okay? So that's all. So Vivi, the floor is yours.
I would like also to thank my advisor, Professor Nikos Sidiropoulos, for his valuable help and support and attentive guidance all these years. Actually, it is my honor to be one of his PhD students. I would also like to thank all the professors of the department being here today. Thank you for teaching me directly and indirectly through all these years. Also, Professor Tom Luo for our warm collaboration, and of course, Professor Leanos Stasioulas, who is missing, and all my colleagues and friends. Many of them are here, many of them are missing, but I thank you all. The title of my thesis is Joint Resource Allocation and Routing in Wireless Networks using Convex Approximation Techniques. I'm going to present here the major part of the thesis, which concerns back pressure power control problem. We begin with back pressure power control problem, and we deal with the complexity of the problem. We will see how successive convex approximation strategy can be exploited to approximate the problem, and we will also talk about custom adaptive algorithms that can be derived in this context, and I will give you indicative results of my simulation experiments. Then we deal with the distributed implementation of back pressure power control for wireless multi-hop networks. First, we will see how the core step of the approach adopted here can be implemented in a distributed fashion. Then we'll see the complete successive approximation algorithm for distributing back pressure power control problem. Then we will visit a second approach that can be exploited in this context to approximate our problem, which is an iteratively weighted sum of mean square error minimization approach. And we will also derive adaptive solutions concerning distributed implementations. And I will give you again some indicative simulation results. As an introduction, some things about multi-hop routing first. Shortest path routing is a very basic routing policy in networking. It is well motivated for many reasons, but the most important one it is what its name suggests, that it is the shortest path. So when one adopts this routing policy in a network, what he has to do is to compute the shortest path between the source and the desired destination and route packets along this path. The network is represented by a graph, and the graph has edges, and every edge has a certain weight, which typically reflects average delay or backlog concerning the respective link. Every edge corresponds to a link. When we do shortest path routing and we use as weights the average delay for every link, then what we get doing shortest path routing is low delay. However, this is true only for low system loads, because at high system loads, the shortest path routing may not have enough capacity to accommodate traffic, and therefore you need to use secondary paths as well. The good things on shortest path routing is that can be solved easily using low complexity algorithms. They are mostly based on dynamic programming and are also distributed algorithms. The difficulty here is that in order to apply shortest path routing, you need to know beforehand the arrival rate in order to provision along the shortest path. And these low complexity algorithms for shortest path routing, however, in a wireless scenario, may be slow to adapt to changes in the load patterns, changing arrivals, adapt to availability or failure of certain nodes, and changes due to failure. Professor Dasioulas in 1992 has introduced a new routing policy in networking. This is well known as back pressure routing, and it is based on a very simple concept, which is the one-hop differential backlog. This one-hop differential backlog essentially measures how backlogged is a buffer of one node relative to the buffer of a neighboring node. The adaptive back pressure routing policy has won much acclaim for many reasons, but the most important reason is its maximal stable throughput claim. That means that if the network is able to sustain a certain input load stably without use growing to instability, then back pressure routing policy can indeed stabilize the network and pushes all packets to the desired destination. So this is the maximal stable throughput property, and for which this policy is very popular. It is also popular for other features as well. For example, it is a distributed protocol by its very nature. It is lightweight in terms of computation. It can also easily adapt to link failures, traffic dynamics. However, there is an undesirable property, which is that it may lead to large delays. For example, consider the case that the network is empty, the queues are empty, and then using back pressure, a packet will be can simply go through a random walk in the network. So this leads to large delay. Actually, delay is a U-shaped curve with respect to load. There is an optimal load that minimizes delay, but when you have high delay, when you have high traffic or low traffic, then you have high delay as well. This is a picture of back pressure routing. We consider a network and we consider a single source destination pair. The nodes of the network have buffers, and the buffers contain packets. So let's assume that we are at node 2. Node 2 has a queue length equal to 14, which means contains 14 packets. Then, by its definition, the one-hop differential backlog between node 2 and node 4, for example, is equal to 2. The differential backlog between node 2 and node 1 is equal to 7. Similarly, the differential backlog to node 3 is equal to 14. However, the differential backlog between node 2 and node 5 is 0. And this is so because node 5 is much more loaded. In this case, differential backlog is set to 0 in order to not allow packets to be routed towards node 5, which is more congested. From this comes the name back pressure. Back pressure policy tends to favor links with larger differential backlogs, whereas links, which means, in other words, links with low back pressure. Okay. However, in using back pressure routing policy, backtracking or looping may be possible. For example, yes, backtracking or looping may be possible. However, for example, source may get back a packet that it has transmitted, and this seems to be wasteful. But there is proof that this won't happen as load builds in the network, as queues are heavily loaded. So, back pressure policy regards local communication, since we compute the differential backlog between neighboring nodes, and also involves trivial computation.
So let me ask a clarification question. All neighbors of the current node are treated equally with respect, I mean, is it taken into account that a node may not be a favorable node towards the destination, despite the fact that the distance you are measuring there is 0? I mean, for example, if you go one slide back, the minimum, the D25 is 0. So you may be inclined to route the packet towards node 5. But node 5 might not be a good node towards the destination. Is this taken into account?
Just to clarify, D25 is 0 means that you will not route.
You will not route. Okay, let me reverse the question. D24 is 2. So you might route to 4, but 4 might not be a good node towards the destination. How the algorithm takes this into account?
Yes, in this case, the back pressure routing policy favors link with a larger differential backlog. In this particular case, it is linked directly from node 2 towards node 3. Also, there are other issues that come into play. For example, when we have multiple flows, then every link
so the question is basically how this algorithm forms a path towards the destination. That might be a premature question, so I might have to wait a little bit more. I mean, a path is formed by taking into account what the destination is, or the path is formed using only local information this way?
No, the decision is taken using the local information.
So it's pretty much...
Because what we want to do is maximize end-to-end throughput, and back pressure policy may result in large delay, which means...
Wait. The point is how is the end-to-end path formed, right? So as you say, you make local decisions about the links, which link to route to, but effectively local decisions are aggregated to global paths through back pressure. So back pressure building up from the destination to the source is what helps create the path. So it's, as in the beginning, there is no global, let's say, good path. But as back pressure, as queues blow up, let's say, they prohibit contested paths from being used, right? So because it builds backwards, hence the name. Right? Because the question was about global, let's say, path.
In case we have multiple source destination pairs, or we have different types of traffic, in other words, commodities, then every node maintains a separate queue per commodity, and every link, distinct from an origin node to a destination node, computes the differential backlogs for corresponding to all flows traversing the link, and then picks the one that maximizes its differential backlog. That means that the whole capacity of the link is given to that flow, which maximizes the differential backlog. So the throughput optimality claim also holds here, and this is from the work of Professor Taskioulas. And in wireline scenarios, back pressure routing policy involves communication and trivial computation. You have to compute the difference of the difference of the backlogs between the two nodes, and it's a trivial computation. However, in a wireless scenario, due to the broadcast nature of the medium, there is interference, and therefore the capacity of every link is dependent on the powers, the transmission powers of other links, and of course on transmission scheduling. However, in this case, we may employ an appropriate scheduling and power control in order to obtain a favorable topology from the viewpoint of maximizing throughput. Back pressure power control problem can be formulated mathematically as shown in this slide. This is the signal to interference plus noise ratio for link L. GLL is the power gain of the direct channel between the transmitter of link L and the receiver of link L. This is the transmission power of link L. These are the power gains of the crosstalk channels between transmitter of any interfering link K to the receiver of link L. This is the transmission power of link A, and this is the background noise power at link A. Then, adopting the Shannon capacity formula, the capacity of every link is given as a log of 1 plus gamma L. The differential backlog for link A, which is directed from node I to node J at time slot t, is given as the maximum of 0 and of the difference of the backlogs of nodes I and J. Where link L is destined to the destination, then the differential backlog equals the backlog at the source. When we have multiple flows, then BL denotes the maximum overall flows traversing the link with respect to the differential backlog of the link. Now, at the physical layer, the problem is this optimization problem, where we have to choose link powers in order to maximize a differential backlog weighted sum of link capacities. The differential backlog here serve as weighting factors for the capacity of every link. The problem may be subject to two types of power constraints. We may have per link power constraint as well as per node power constraint, and this is because a node may be the transmitter for multiple outgoing links. Now, if you can solve this optimization problem, then you can determine an optimal scheduling and power allocation in order to maximize stable throughput for the wireless multi-hop network. And
just one question. Can you explain, in order to get some intuition, the objective function actually a weighted sum of capacities, with the weight being the back pressure law. Okay, what does this mean for the network, for example?
For the network?
Yes.
Yes. We give a priority for every link which is based on the differential backlog of the link in order to maximize end-to-end throughput this way. Consider that maximizing just the sum rate in a network, it is not enough to maximize stable throughput for the network. Because consider the case where we have a convex rate region in the network, and the solution to the optimization, to the maximization of the sum rate means may lead to empty quickly one queue and rented it idle in the next slots, and therefore leads to wasting capacity, and the number of total transmitted packets in the network is not high. Okay, you do not get the maximum possible stable throughput. It is better to give priorities to the link according to the differential backlogs, and this policy achieves maximum stable throughput, as proved also by the work of Professor Tassioulas in '92, and this is what I say here. And this is the reason that this problem forms the backbone behind modern network utility maximization, and is a core problem in wireless networking. However, this is a hard problem because, as you can see, it is non-convex in the optimization variables, and there is a question if it can be solved efficiently. Mathematically, back pressure power control problem appears to be very similar to the sum rate maximization in DSL systems. However, there are important differences between the two problems. For example, in a DSL system, you can have listen while you talk, while in the multi-hop scenario considered here, you have no listen while you talk. That means that a node cannot be the transmitter for one link and the receiver for another link at the same time. In a DSL system, every transmitter is dedicated to a given receiver, while in the wireless network scenario, links share their transmitters and receivers. And from this comes that the coupling factors GKL in the case of the wireless scenario are restricted, whereas in crosstalk factors in DSL system are free. You are free to choose these factors. This happens because links share transmitters and receivers. And for example, consider two links. Let's say this node transmits to this node and this node. Then name this link L and this link K. Then for link L, and isolate this only this instance. Then for link L, the direct channel is from the transmitting node to the receiving node, while the interference channel for link L is the channel between this transmitting node again to this receiving node, because this is also the transmitter for link K. So that means that GKL equals to GLL, and taking as direct link K, similarly GLK equals to GKK. So that means that you are not free to choose all channels in the network. They are subject to certain restrictions. And that means that our problem is not exactly equal to the sum rate maximization problem in DSL, which is known to be NP-hard because Professor Liu and Zhang proved in this case that the complexity of that this problem is NP-hard. So, however, we can actually prove that our problem is NP-hard and in order to do so, we wish to show that our problem contains an NP-hard problem. This is possible if we assume an arbitrary configuration of backlogs in order to peel off the complicating coupling factors. In this case, for example, we can choose backlogs so that to schedule only links shown here, links which do not share transmitter and receivers, and therefore in this wireless scenario, every transmitter node has no other choice but to transmit towards a given receiver. So in this case, this way, we construct a set of co-channel links, and the problem is back to the corresponding problem for the DSL system, which is known to be NP-hard. And this suggests that the back pressure power control problem is also generally NP-hard. Now, since the problem of interest is NP-hard, what we wish is to derive approximate solutions for the problem. Towards this end, we can use optimization tools from DSL literature. In fact, we can develop approximate algorithms. One possibility is to use the highest INR approximation. In this case, every link rate can be well approximated by log of gamma L, and in this case, after applying a logarithmic transformation of power variables, the problem becomes convex and can be efficiently solved via modern interior point methods. However, the issue with the high INR is that we do not know beforehand whether it holds well in every case. So another possibility is to use the successive convex approximation approach, which was originally proposed from Papandreopoulos and Evans in 2006, who deal with the spectrum management problem in a DSL system. And they proposed a low complexity approximation algorithm, which is called scale. The authors proposed to use this bound in order to lower bound the individual link rate. This is a concave function that lowers bounds the actual link rate. A and B, A and beta, are parameters and are updated to the operating point Z0 as is shown here. This bound is tied at point Z0. However, in the high INR regime, when Z0 is very large, Z0 is very large, then the bound becomes the well-known approximation in the high INR regime. So, the successive convex approximation approach, which we borrowed from Papandreopoulos and Evans, suggests that we should begin our iterates from the high INR approximation. In this case, the bounding parameters AL and beta L for every link L correspond to using AL equals to 1 and beta L equals to 0. Then we solve the convex resulting problem towards a power solution, a link power solution, and then we tighten the lower bounds of the link rates. We refine this approximation by updating AL and BL parameters according to this bound. Then a new convex problem arises, which is a tighter convex approximation of the VPC problem, we can solve it again towards a new power solution and continue this way until convergence. This sequence of iterates produces a monotonically increasing objective, which is called Rally of majorization principle.
You have to speed up a bit. Don't go into all the details.
Yes. Now, in our case, back pressure power control problem is a problem that we have to solve on a per slot basis, and this is because the weighting factors we use for the objective of the problem can dynamically change from slot to slot, because packets are continuously routed in the network, and therefore backlogs of nodes change. That means that if we use a batch algorithm to solve the problem on a per slot basis, will result in prohibitive complexity, and therefore we need adaptive and lightweight solutions to the extent, of course, to which this is possible. We have built custom interior point methods, custom interior point algorithms in order to solve the convex problem that arises after every approximation, and to solve the problem faster than generic solvers. And then a second step towards an efficient algorithm is to have a warm restart of the algorithm. And at this point, one would initially initialize at the solution of the previous slot, and then take a refinement step. But this doesn't work. That doesn't work in our case.
Excuse me, forgive me. Can you go back one slide?
Okay.
Forgive me for my delay. So you start from, if I understood correctly, from an NP car problem.
Yes.
Okay. And you approximate with highest and approximation, then you tighten the approximation. All the problems are convex.
Yes.
And the solution converges.
Yes.
Where?
The solution converges to, of course, not the optimal solution of the original NP hard problem, but to a station, but to a but to a point which corresponds, which satisfies the necessary KKT conditions for the problem. It is a local optimal solution.
It's a local optimal solution.
Yes.
Okay. Do you have any idea how far it is from the
optimal
yes.
solution? This can be estimated only when we can have an upper bound of the original objective. But the algorithms to do so are not very available. What I was saying is that we cannot initialize at the solution of the previous slot, because in our wireless scenario we have no listen while we talk constraints, also links share transmitter and receivers, and we have an interference limited scenario. And in this case, what happens is a wave propagation over the network. Actually, traffic is periodically pulled and pushed, and this suggests that the solution of the previous slot may be far one from the solution for the present slot. In addition, considering fixed physical layer propagation conditions and fixed deterministic arrivals, when the system is stable, when the queues are stable, then what we expect is a periodic behavior of the system. And this is because there is a large but still finite number of system states, and therefore we expect the system to return to a previously visited state in due time. So what we have to do for a warm restart is not to initialize at the previous slot, but to account a window of W past slots, and then we must check each one of these solutions for our present objective and pick the one that maximizes our present objective. Of course, this window must be larger from the expected period to capture the periodic behavior of the system. Okay. This may lead to an excellent initialization for our algorithm. Here I have the adaptive successive convex approximation algorithm for back pressure power control. We should pay attention to the initialization step where the warmer start is implemented. We take all previously solutions for adaptive capacity slots, and we evaluate the present objective, which is this function, okay, which after the logarithmic transformation of variables is a convex problem subject to the corresponding power constraints. And so we take all previous solutions, power solutions, with the corresponding bounding parameters for every link. And then we pick the one which maximizes the objective. We use this for initialization of the successive convex approximation approach until the convergence of the algorithm. As the best performing state-of-the-art algorithms for back pressure power control, I present here a back pressure best response algorithm which was developed for multiple cDNA networks by Giannoulis et al. In 2006. It is about a low complexity algorithm. It is based on, of course, it is based on high scenario assumption. It is distributed and it runs in parallel with system evolution. So here, after the determination of the backlogs at every time slot, every link compute its price, and where I of L denotes the total received interference at link L, and then the price is communicated to all interfering links, and then each link determines its transmission power for the next slot according to this rule. Okay, and now I give some indicative results from our simulations concerning the centralized solutions for the problem, and then I will go to the distributed implementation. The network we consider is drawn randomly on 100 times 100 square. We consider a network consisting of 6 nodes. The low left node, the low left node is the destination, and the upper right node is the low left node is the source, and the right upper node is the destination, and all intermediate nodes are the relays.
You have to speed up because it's 11:25 and you're in slide 15, so
okay.
No need to go over all the details.
Okay, these are the coupling factors are taken in both proportional to T. We also consider no reason value dot constraints, and this is modeled as shown here. This is the background noise and the power budget for every link. In our simulations, we assume per link power constraints. Okay. This is the result concerning batch algorithm in high SINR regime. This algorithm stabilizes the network for arrival rates up to 9.7 packets per slot. For higher arrival rates, the queues become unstable. In this case, we can see that all relevant quantities, which are the queue lengths of all nodes of relays and source node, converge quickly to a periodic pattern, as well as power allocation is periodic. The transient is short in this case, and the throughput, end-to-end throughput, is also periodic, and the average throughput in this case equals the incoming traffic at the source. This is the results from the adaptive version of the previous algorithm, which is faster. However, it yields similar qualitative results, where again all the relative quantities converge to periodic behavior, and the algorithm can sustain the same maximum stable rate. This is an illustration of the results resulting for the rate of 9.9 packets per slot. We can see that in this case the system cannot be stabilized. This is the algorithm based on the successive convex approximation approach. We can see the higher arrival rate that it can support is 10.4 packets per slot. Again, we have a periodic pattern and we have a shorter transit in this case. This is the adaptive version of the previous algorithm, which also supports the same arrival rates up to 10.4 packets per slot.
So what should be noted here is the periodicity, right? So you have a push-pull.
Yes, and in fact, the expected push-pull wave propagation was verified in our simulations. We observed periods of 2 time slots, and actually what happens is the system operates in 2 stages. In the first stage, source pushes packets towards all nodes, and in the second stage, relays and source push packets to the destination. This is the unstable setup for adaptive successive approximation and for bad successive approximation also. This is an unstable case.
Throughput, however, doesn't go to
And
zero
yes, in this case,
Why?
What did he say?
Why throughput doesn't go to 0 in this case? I thought throughput was went to
in
0
this
in
case,
the other case, in the other unstable case.
Okay. In this case, average throughput is lower than the incoming traffic.
Okay.
Okay. And if we simulate the network in higher arrival rates, then we can see even lower average throughput or even 0 throughput. Actually, what I did is to gradually increase the arrival rate to find out until which rate we can stabilize the system. Then it is not easily discerned where the system becomes unstable. It is unstable for all higher arrival rates, but this is a case where this can be visualized by the backlogs of the nodes, by the source backlog and the relay backlogs.
Just to clarify a bit, Professor Pateraki was saying that if the network is really unstable, right, then you expect the throughput, if the queues blow up to infinity, right, eventually you expect the throughput to be converted to 0.
Yes.
So this happens, if I understood from your response, if you up the arrival rate even more from what you have, then within these time slots you see the throughput going down, right?
Yes.
But so long as there is a difference between average throughput and average arrival rate, you have build up all the queues.
Or another issue is the duration in which the system is simulated.
Yeah.
Because if we could go in longer duration, then the queues would blow up and the throughput would go down in a very
So you had, I think one of the previous speakers showed this.
yes, these are concerning the high sign case.
So go back.
Yes.
Here you show the diminishing of the throughput.
Yes. It goes low to 5, approximately 5 here, not to 0.
Yes.
Okay. Let's move on with you because there are
This is the performance of back pressure best response algorithm, which managed to stabilize the system for lower arrival rates, only up to 5.7 packets per slot. In this case, also the algorithm needs longer time to settle in. That's why we simulated the network for 1,000 time slots, and we have also. It features higher queues in this case. And
Just go to the table, perhaps. Go to the table.
Yes, and this is the unstable case, and now we summarize the results concerning the algorithms in high scenario, successful approximation algorithms and best response. The first is for scenario N, which is the small network we consider. The second scenario is a stronger interference limited scenario, where we can see that successful approximation yields 3 times higher stable throughput. And scenario 3 is a larger network consisting of 12 nodes, and we can see again that successful approximation can sustain high stable throughput. This is a comparison of the average complexity of the algorithms. Best response is indeed low complexity algorithm, therefore it is very fast, it is extremely fast. On the other hand, successful approximation algorithms have high complexity. Here are the average, it is the average runtime of batch and adaptive algorithms. The batch algorithms required about 20 seconds per slot. This might be prohibitive, but the adaptive algorithms reduce the average runtime significantly. Okay, so successful approximation is indeed meaningful because it improves end-to-end throughput relative to the high scenario approximation-based algorithms, and it is also our proposed algorithms are also better because feature shorter backlogs during delays compared to the back pressure best response algorithms. Okay. Now we will talk about the distributed implementation of back pressure power control. In this case, we want to implement in a distributed fashion the core step of our approach adopted here, which is the distributed implementation of this convex problem. We consider here the link power constraints, and we have applied logarithmic transformation of variables in order to result in a convex problem. Okay, we will use again successive convex approximation approach. And we need to implement this problem, we need to derive a solution for this problem in a distributed fashion. Now, in order to do this, we would ideally like to decompose the core problem in L parallel subproblems, which can be solved at every link. The key step towards this end is to shift the coupling from the objective to the constraints, and for this reason we introduce auxiliary variables which are I, L, K for every link L and for every interfering link K. So link L has I, L, K for all links K auxiliary variables, and we have also to add the associated constraints. Therefore, and then the problem becomes as is shown here. Now we have also the auxiliary variables as optimization variables. IA denotes the vector of the auxiliary variables of every link, and P denotes the vector of the power variables. Now, instead of using the dual decomposition method for the distributed implementation, we will utilize the alternating direction method of multipliers in our program. We consider the augmented Lagrange function with penalty parameter rho. We denote by gamma LK the Lagrange multipliers for every link L associated with the constraint GKL plus PK equals to ILK. I didn't say before that auxiliary variable ILK stands for the total received for the interference that link L receives from its interfering link K. Okay. We also denote by lambda L the Lagrange multiplier associated with the power constraint for link L. Then we can also exploit the decomposable structure of the Lagrange function and rewrite the augmented Lagrange function as is shown here, where it is the sum of the standard Lagrange function plus the regularizing term, which is the term here. Okay, note that power and auxiliary variables are primal variables for every link, while lambda L and gamma Lk are local variables for every link. And as we have shown, the augmented Lagrange function is written as the standard Lagrange function, which can be decomposed into the sum of local Lagrange functions plus the regularization term. And this term also enforces strict convexity with respect to the primal variables. We use the alternating direction method of multipliers because in our problem, in our objective here, the problem is separable. The objective function is separable with respect to power variables and with respect to auxiliary variables. So we have a different function as function of each one of the variables. And also is convex with respect to power variables and auxiliary variables. We will utilize alternating direction method of multipliers and the optimization steps of the method apply to the update of the power variables, of the auxiliary variables, and of dual gamma Lk variables. Whereas for the update of the lambda variable, we can apply a projected gradient step according to the dual ascent method. Then the iterates that can be carried out in parallel at every link are four actual optimization steps. The first step is the power optimization step for every link. It is the solution to this convex quadratic problem in PA. Note here that this is a function only of variable PL. The other local variables for link L are evaluated in the previous iteration, so they are not variables for this problem. The solution of this problem results in a closed form update for PL. However, for distributed implementation, certain assumptions must be made, which is that we assume available control channels among nodes in order for links to exchange information, and we also assume that every transmitter has knowledge of the link aim to the receiver of every interfering link. Also, in order to update the power variable, note that link L must have knowledge of the dual variables and as well as the auxiliary variables of all interfering links evaluated at the previous iteration, which are these variables here. And these variables must be communicated to link L via message passing. The next step is the update of the IL variable for link L, which results in this unconstrained minimization with respect to vector IL for link L, which can be solved via Dunn-Smithon method. However, here we require that link L has knowledge of the interference received from link K, which can be estimated or communicated to L. Next, the dual update step for dual variable gamma Lk is this update step, where we use as step size the penalty parameter of alternating iteration method of multipliers. This is enforced by the method itself in order for its convergence properties to hold. And the penalty parameter must be a positive, must have a positive value. And then we take a gradient step to update the lambda A parameter. Here the step size can be a diminishing step size, or we can even choose a small enough constant step size. And the distributed algorithm for the solution of the convex problem is this algorithm. After the initialization step, we have in this order the individual update steps that each link has to carry out. And at the end of each round of update steps, every link must transmit its updated dual and auxiliary variables to every other interfering link until the convergence of the algorithm. Now, convergence for this distributed
maybe we can skip this. This is
okay.
Yeah. Maybe let's skip this slide. Yeah. Let's move on.
Okay. This is the distributed adaptive successive convex approximation algorithm for BPC. Here we have here we show only the step associated with the warm restart of the adaptive algorithm. Okay, as in the previous, as in the case of the centralized algorithms for back pressure power control and for the adaptive algorithms, we will use here the same properties of the problem under our specific setups. The periodicity we expect to arise in stable setups, and therefore we will use the same strategy for the initialization of the algorithm, which is to pick W-fast solutions and to initialize to the one that is closer for the solution, is closer to the solution for the present slot. However, this must be implemented in a distributed fashion. Every link must determine to which of its local solutions it should be initialized, and in order to do so, it can exploit the periodicity of the system under our specific setups and assumptions, and which periodicity concerns also the differential backlogs resulting at every time slot for the links. Therefore, every link should pick the solution, one of its previous solutions that corresponds to a state of the system that is closer to the current state of the system, and this can be done by locally. This is local.
Its own differential backlog.
Its own differential backlog, and so it goes back W times logs, pick and take every differential backlog resulting at every time slot and computes the one that is closer to the current differential backlog and picks the solution that corresponds to that differential backlog. The initialization, of course, concerns all the variables involved in this case, in the problem. And, okay, this is the warm restart of the distributed adaptive successive approximation. Then the algorithm proceeds according to the successive approximation approach. Okay. However, there is another approach which we can exploit in order to approximate our NP-hard problem resulting at the physical layer. This is the weighted sum mean squared error minimization approach, which was originally developed for the weighted sum utility maximization in MIMO interfering broadcast channel. It was originally introduced by Christensen et al. In 2008, but in 2011 by C et al., it was actually the equivalence between the weighted sum rate maximization problem and the properly weighted sum mean square error minimization problem was established. And also in C et al. In 2011, an iterative algorithm called WMMSE, weighted minimum mean square error, is an iterative algorithm that was proved to converge to a local optimal solution of the NP-hard weighted sum rate maximization problem. So we will use this algorithm to approximate our back pressure power control problem at the physical layer in order to obtain a favorable power allocation. However, in our context, we must go to the seesaw interference channel. Okay, therefore we denote by HKL the channel from transmitter of link K to receiver of link L. However, this channel must be scaled to the gain of the coupling, to the power gain of the coupling channel to match our context. That means that square HKL must equal to coupling factor CKL. And alternatively, we can work also in the real domain and take directly HKL equal to the square root of GLK. Now, in our context, the weighted sum mean square error minimization is this problem, okay, where we use as weighting factors the differential backlogs for our problem. This is EL stands for the mean square error, while WL are weight optimization variables. And this is the objective, which is the sum of differential backlog weighted mean squared errors, properly weighted, subject to transmission power constraints. Okay, the optimization variables here for every link are WL, UL, and VL, where UL stands for the complex gain at the receiver of link L, and the VL stands for the complex gain at transmitter of link L.
I think we can skip this as well.
Okay, these are the update steps for WL, VL, and UL. Okay, of course this is a low complexity algorithm, and it provides one-shot approximation to our NP-hard VBC problem for every time slot. Okay. We next show the adaptive version of WMSE for a back pressure power control problem. Actually, here we show the warm restart, which is in a similar way as the successive convex approximation algorithm. Okay, we exploit the same properties of the problem, and we initialize to the differential back to the solution of the time slot, which has differential backlog closer to the present differential backlog for every link. Okay. Now, actually, this is developed from my remarks, my observations through on the simulation results from our simulation experiments. And what I have observed is under our specific setups, considering no listen value talk constraints, and also considering fixed physical layer propagation conditions and deterministic variables, what I have observed is that every node, consider the case that node I, consider the case of a subset of incoming links to node I and a subset of outgoing links from node I. What I have observed is that in this case, node I favors the subset of links with the maximum sum of differential backlogs.
Meaning that when you run DVPC, you see that the subset, either the incomings or the outgoing links, the one subset that has higher sum of differential backlogs
is activated and the other one is shut off.
Yes, and the other one is shut off. Here I explain how this is possible to be implemented. This is a heuristic scheduling, but it requires that every node is able to compute the differential backlogs of all possible links, inserting to it or departing from it. However, this is possible because differential backlog determination requires this local communication among nodes. Therefore, every node is aware of the backlogs of all other nodes in the network, and this computation, therefore, is possible in a distributed fashion. And then, what I did just to verify if my thoughts were correct, or if I could apply these scheduling decisions at the nodes beforehand for every time slot, what would be the possible results I could get. The scheduling heuristic is to go to every node, take the differential backlogs of all incoming and outgoing links, and compare the two sums, and then activate the subset of links with the maximum differential backlog. Okay.
So in that way, we find out what is the number of interfering links, the number of L. I have missed completely the way you calculate L. L in general is a random parameter. How do you know who is interfering your transmission?
No, you don't have to determine which is the number of actually activated links. This comes from applying this rule to every node in the network. Sequentially, of course. It must be done in a specific way.
So L does not have to do with interference angle. L is the link index, right?
L is the number of possible
L capital L, not small L. In the formulations, you
yes,
have
of course,
number of interfering links denoted as capital L. My question is, how do you calculate that number?
You don't need to calculate the number. You just activate these links which results after this scheduling rule, and then you go to the optimization problem with the links that are activated, which means with the links that have positive differential backlog. And typically this number of links is much smaller than the initial possible number of links in the network.
Yeah, and then my next question would be, in a practical setup, when you have not only the traffic that you're going to relay, but also your own traffic, okay? And you have a specific MAC protocol, how this whole framework would adapt in a realistic setup. But let's move on, and I will come back to this question at the end of the presentation.
Same scenario.
This is the same scenario. First, I saw the performance of the distributed algorithms for the core step for the convex lower bounding problem of back pressure power control. Okay. The core step 1 is a distributed algorithm using a global constant penalty parameter. Okay. And core step 2 is a variation where I use adaptive different penalty parameter for every link. And these are the results where I vary rho from a very small value to a relatively large value, and I have the number of iterations required for the convergence of the distributed algorithm and the respective objective value attained. So we can see that when we have a constant penalty parameter, then the initial source of rho affects very much the number of iterations, the convergence speed of the algorithm, whereas when we adapt rho in a way, we can see that the resulting algorithm is less dependent on the initial choice of the penalty parameters.
So that for constant rho is the constant in front of the quadratic regularizing term for at mode, right?
Yes.
So there is a sweet spot. Show us the sweet spot. Where is the sweet spot? Here, 0.1, right? 1.
Here is 0.1.
Because number of iterations is 106, and the objective value is not far. It's the smallest number of iterations, and the objective value is very close to the best one you can get, irrespective of number of iterations, right?
Yes.
So that is why it is a sweet spot. Otherwise, how can we appreciate why it is a sweet spot, right? The sweet spot because few iterations, but you get an objective value that is close to what you can get, no matter what the number of iterations is. Right?
Yes. Here I compare the distributed algorithm for every problem instance resulting at every time slot with the centralized batch size INR. The experiment is to drive the network under control of the batch size INR algorithm and take the resulting differential backlogs for every time slot and then solve the resulting problem instances via the distributed algorithms. Here is the objective value, the illustration of the instantaneous objective attained, and down is the plot of the differences to visualize the difference. We can see that we can achieve a reasonable accuracy. Okay. And however, what? Yes.
One-time slot means that the algorithms run once, or they run to convergence and then again?
They run for the differential backlog of one-time slot until convergence.
Okay.
They do not do
So
only
every time
one
slot
update.
implies that the algorithm runs until convergence?
Yes.
Okay.
It's one scheduling slot.
Yes.
Scheduling slots can comprise thousands of packets. This only affects delay and not queuing, not throughput.
Time slot here means scheduling slot.
Scheduling slot, yes, this is scheduling slot. And there's a trade-off. You can have small, short scheduling slots or large, and this does not affect maximum stable throughput, but it affects delay.
But it depends on the channel. I mean, one scheduling slot the channel should be constant.
Yes, yes, of course. Yes. The continuous time of the channel, of course.
Then I saw performance results concerning high SNR and successful approximation distributed algorithms. I considered two scenarios, as in the case of the centralized algorithms. The first scenario is a small network consisting of 6 nodes, and we have moderate interference. In the second scenario, we have a same size network of 6 nodes and stronger interference. And in scenario 3, we have a larger network consisting of 12 nodes. We assume again fixed physical layer propagation conditions and also deterministic fixed arrival rates, and take also into account no listen while you talk constraints. This is the distributed high INR for scenario 3. For the larger network, we can see that the maximum stable rate is 12.6 packets per slot, and that again the relative quantities converge to periodic pattern. Okay. This is the unstable setup for the adaptive high SNR algorithm, where arrival rate 12.7 packets per slot cannot be supported in this case, and queues go to growth instability. This is the adaptive successful approximation for the same scenario, which can support arrival rates up to 15.7 packets per slot. And again, we can see a periodic behavior of the system. Also, I would like to note here that again, the two-stage operation of the system was verified in our simulations and we had a period of 2 time slots, and the same links that were activated in case of centralized algorithms are also activated in this case. Now, this is the unstable setup for scenario 3 under control of adaptive successive approximation algorithm. For arrival rate 16.1, it can be easily visualized that queues are not stabilized. That's why I show this, the result for this rate. And this is, I gather in this table results concerning all algorithms based on the high scenario and successive convex approximation for the 2 variations of the distributed core step algorithms. And here we have the maximum stable rate that can be supported, and also the average weighted sum rate attained by the algorithm. What I wanted to show in this table is that adaptive versions keep up with the bulk standards, as well the successive approximation algorithms do so.
So this again for a single source and a single sink,
Yes,
the multiple number
yes.
relays that do not produce their own traffic, they just relay traffic.
Yes, this is the same scenario. This is the performance of WMMSC algorithm for our problem. This algorithm in scenario N, which is the large network scenario,
small network, scenario 1.
the small network, yes, supports rates up to 12.4 packets per slot. Recall that the respective stable throughput for successive approximation and backwards power control was 10.4 packets per slot. In this case, the algorithm activates only the link from source to destination after the first time slot. Okay.
Though the others are not very tall.
Yes.
So the power there goes to 0.
Yes. This is the unstable case for rate 12.5 packets per slot for the adaptive WMMSC algorithm. And I saw also results for scenario 3, the larger network, where the adaptive WMMSC algorithm yields lower stable throughput than successive approximation algorithms in this case. WMSC continues to activate only one link. Now, here, in scenario N, in scenario 1, WMMSC achieves higher stable throughput, whereas in scenario 3 achieves lower stable throughput. In scenario 2, the strong interference scenario also achieves higher stable throughput, but we will see the results in the table after. Now, this is when we apply the scheduling scheme for WMSC algorithm, and I saw its performance concerning scenario 3, which is a larger network, and we can see that it can stabilize the network for arrival rates up to 15.7 packets per slot, which means that in this case, the heuristic scheduling scheme improves performance of WMSC algorithm with respect to maximum stable throughput attained. And we see that in this case, the algorithm activates periodically subset of links and not only one link. That's why we have a periodic behavior similar as the periodic behavior that the successive convex approximation algorithms presented. This is the maximum stable throughput for scenario.
What is noteworthy here, if I may add, that you have an ad hoc heuristic scheduling idea, that basically moves the local optimum solution that you get from WMSC from a worse quality one to a higher quality one, right? So you are applying a heuristic and it gives you a better solution of a relatively sophisticated algorithm, right? That is worth noting. Right? You can improve relatively sophisticated algorithms using relatively simple heuristics in certain cases. That's not working in my opinion.
Yes.
How often does it?
It happens. In large network analysis.
It happens in the case of the larger network. It doesn't happen in the case of the stronger interference network.
So you have played with large networks, different, let's say, interference ZKLs,
Yes,
and you
yes,
have
yes.
found that in many cases it improves the performance.
Yes.
Okay.
When we have larger networks and moderate interference, it improves the performance of WMSC. But I will summarize the results next. Here is another experiment in order to compare WMSC algorithm in a fair way with the successive convex approximation algorithms with respect to the weighted sum rate attained, the objective value attained by the two algorithms. In order to do so, we must use the same problem instances for every time slot. That means that we have to run the one algorithm, the network under control of the one algorithm, take the backlogs that results at every time slot, and use these backlogs to solve the problem via the other algorithm. I did drive the network under control of batches alpha algorithm, batches A algorithm, and without applying the heuristic scheduling tool. And then I solve the respective problem instances via WMSC algorithm. However, in this case, I tested both implementation, the original implementation, where all is unscheduled, and the second, the heuristic implementation with the scheduling C. Here is the comparison concerning scenario 1, which is a small network and moderate interference. We can see the instantaneous weighted sum rate attained by the two algorithms in the first plot up. Okay. Then I average the weighted sum rate for every algorithm and compare the two averages in the next plot. And in the final plot, I illustrate the instantaneous difference of the objective with respect to the objective value attained from the two algorithms. We see that the weighted MMSC algorithm under the original implementation in its original form yields a solution that is lower qualitatively than the one that S alpha that successful approximation approach attains, okay, with respect to the weighted sum rate.
So for the same problems.
This is, yes, for exactly the same problems arising at every time slot.
Even though it gives higher throughput.
Oh,
Or
yes.
say better. If you run the network under WMSC, it gives you higher throughput.
Yes, for scenario 1.
But if you run it to solve each and every problem instance, as generated by running the network under successive approximation, it yields lower average sum rate.
Yes. Now, this is the results of WMSC under when the heuristic scheduling seems applied. In this case, again, the two algorithms solve the same problem at every time slot. And in this case, the attained weighted sum rate of WMSC is within accuracy, a very small accuracy, close to the weighted sum rate attained by successive convex approximation approach. We can see the absolute difference in the last figure. So again, the heuristic scheduling scheme indeed improves the performance of WMMC algorithm with respect to the weighted sum rate attained. This is respective results concerning scenario 2, which is the scenario with the same size but with stronger interference. And in this case, under mode 1, weighted MMC yields again higher, lower quality solution, lower weighted sum rate for every problem instance compared to the successful approximation approach. We can see that the instantaneous difference is indeed high. Okay. Whereas when implemented under mode 2, weighted MMC gives a solution which is very close to the solution that the successful approximation approach yields. In fact, the same results come from every scenario considered in this experiment, because also in scenario 3, comparing the two algorithms under identical problem instances for scenario 3, we can see that weighted MMC under mode 1 again yields lower weighted sum rate relative to the successful approximation approach, and the difference is significant. While under mode 2, weighted MMC yields a solution that is very close to the one of successful approximation approach. This is the results obtained from WMMSC under mode 1 and under mode 2 for all scenarios considered. Okay. We can see that in scenario 1, WMMSC under mode 1 achieves higher stable throughput than under mode 2 or than successive approximation approaches. It is 12.4, whereas for the other algorithms it is 10.4. But note that the average weighted sum rate is lower than the average weighted sum rate than the other algorithms. However, this is not a contradiction here, because we can see that the algorithm that yields the higher stable throughput yields a lower average weighted sum rate. This is possible to happen because the two algorithms are approximate algorithms for our NP-hard back pressure power control problem, and that means that comparing two suboptimal solutions for back pressure power control under the basis of average weighted sum rate does not mean that you can pick this way the algorithm that enables higher stable throughput. Now, in scenario 2, which is the strongest interference scenario, weighted MMC clearly outperforms in terms of both maximum stable throughput and weighted sum rate compared to all other three algorithms under weighted MMC under mode 2 and the other algorithms.
So the scheduling heuristic helps in this case?
Yes, the scheduling heuristic helps in this case. Whereas in scenario 3, the maximum stable throughput that weighted MMC attains under mode 1 is only 12.1, while under mode 2 is 15.7. And of course, the difference with respect to average weighted sum rate is significant in this case. Under mode 2, weighted MMC keeps up with S-alpha based algorithms for back pressure power control. Okay. So there is a significant improvement of WMSC when the heuristic scheduling scheme is applied, but only for this scenario considered. These are average complexity results for WMSC. Weighted MMSC is indeed a very low complexity algorithm, and it's extremely fast, as can be seen here. Even the batch version requires on average tens of milliseconds, and it's not comparable with. And the batch here, the batches A algorithms require tens of seconds, so they are out of comparison. However, the adaptive version of WMSC, although the algorithm is anyway fast, it improves further its average runtime, and this happens during steady state when the algorithm is warm initialized, okay? And the reduction can be up to an order of magnitude. This happens because algorithm convergence is only one iteration, which means in one round of update steps for every link during steady state. Okay. We can also compare the complexities resulting from the two implementations, but the algorithm is anyway very fast, so the comparison is not clear enough. We can see that in the two cases, adaptive algorithm improves the average runtime during steady state because it requires only one iteration actually. Okay. Some remarks is that WMSC clearly outperforms successive approximation-based algorithms for back pressure power control with respect to complexity. Regarding performance of the algorithms, WMSC outperforms in the strong interference scenario, while successive approximation-based algorithms are better in terms of throughput as well as of weighted sum rate attained in larger networks. Our insight from the results concerning scenario 1 is what I have said before, that comparing suboptimal back pressure power control solutions on an average weighted sum rate basis, that may be a fallacy because it does not lead necessarily to the algorithm that achieves high stable throughput. The scheduling heuristic indeed improves throughput performance, but in certain cases. In our experiments, it was shown to be for the larger network, and our modification to WMSC algorithm, it is very simple one, but it comes from, but it is worthwhile because the algorithm indeed has very much lower average complexity during steady state. It does only one iteration when we have an effective power initialization for the algorithm. Okay.
So complexity is the same as the best response algorithm. The adaptive version that you...
Yes, this is the adaptive version.
So the complexity-wise is almost like the best response algorithm style.
Yes, yes.
Sometimes even faster than that one. If you look at the runtime.
Yes, it is even faster, and
look at the number.
Yes,
Mode
it
2.
is even faster, and it is better performance-wise because much better because this algorithm is an iterative algorithm that reaches a local optimal solution, a stationary point of the original back pressure power control, whereas back pressure based response algorithms do only one step towards the local optimal power solution for the present slot. They are not iterative algorithms, they do just one step in order to run in parallel with the network evolution. However, WMSC is extremely fast. And this is it, thank you all. I would like also to mention that This research was co-financed by the European Union and the Greek Financial Funds through the operational program Education and Lifelong Learning of the National Strategic Reference Framework, Research Funded Program Heraclitus 2, investigating in knowledge society through the European Social Fund. Also parts of the work presented here appears in some conference papers, which is ICAS 2012 and ICAS 2011, and a journal paper with the title Context Approximation Algorithms for Back Pressure Power Control. Thank you.